What up, guys? Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast. I am here today with a very special guest, one of the best filmmakers of our generation, Jakob Owens. How's it going, man?
Thank you. Good, man. Great.
That was great.
That was quite the intro.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's how I feel, though. You really are.
Thank you.
You're a humble guy. You probably never admit it, but Jakob Owens, one of the best filmmakers of our generation. Just change your Instagram bio to that.
Yeah, I'd probably get a lot of hate if I did that.
How you been, man?
Good, man. I've been really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's funny because we've known each other for so long. So
Yeah.
we met through Futuristic.
Yeah.
And one of my best memories and probably the most time that we've ever spent together was when I came out to LA for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I
shot
filmed
all those videos.
all of the music videos for Ernie's album.
Yeah. What was the, I don't even remember all the titles of them now. The
Oh,
one I
dude.
remember most.
The drive-through, maybe?
The one I remember most was like the fast food one.
That
was that
one?
Burger King?
Yeah, that was
Burger
Burger King, McDonald's, and Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And then my favorite personally was Make It Far. That was when
Oh,
we
is
did
that
on
when
the
we went on
beach
the
with all the
mountains?
models.
And then-
No, that was Dreamers.
Oh, Dreamers.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
So
we did a lot.
We did a lot. We did 5 music videos, and most people don't even know that I made an album. That was almost 5 years ago.
That's
In
crazy.
April, it'll be 5 years.
It's crazy how fast it goes. Like looking back, yeah, especially those Facebook notifications like,
Uh-huh.
oh, this happened 4
Yeah,
years
when it
ago.
pops
Just remind
up.
you, like, oh my gosh,
It's crazy. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking of doing another album possibly for the 5-year anniversary.
That'd be
but
cool.
I got it.
Ernie's coming back.
I'm not sure.
No.
Everyone's been asking where Ernie is, and to be honest, I have no idea. I haven't seen Ernie in probably
Gotcha.
2 years.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just drift apart.
Yeah, so maybe we'll find him one day. Maybe he is no longer living. We'll find out. There's actually going to be a documentary coming out about that.
That'd
But
be crazy.
I like to start off the podcast with a trivia question.
Okay.
So, in the state of
snap.
California, you should know this considering you've lived there for a while. It is illegal to buy a mousetrap without what?
I should know that based on living in California. Illegal to buy a mouse trap without wearing a blouse.
That's like one of the old laws, like
Yeah,
from way back in the
yeah.
day. No, without a hunting license.
Oh, okay. That
Which
makes sense.
It's absolutely like absurd, but with
there's
it being California,
some of
you're
those
like,
some of those laws though are like you can't cross the street unless you're holding your grandma's hand, like
Yeah,
where it just makes
exactly.
absolutely no sense. And that one actually
yeah,
kind of
a
makes
hunting
sense in a
license.
way.
So for
yeah.
those of you in California, don't go breaking laws. Make sure to get your hunting license if you're going to buy a mousetrap.
Crazy.
So Jakob, I know I introduced you as one of the best filmmakers of our generation, but really you're not just a filmmaker, you do it all. And that's what we were
Do
kind
a
of
lot.
talking about
Right.
before the show started here. You do film, I just saw on Instagram you started some sort of coffee company, you have a lens company, you do production studios. You're really like the definition
Yeah.
of an entrepreneur. So tell me a little about like your entrepreneurship journey and like all the different things that you're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, it started like the easiest way to put it, I think, is like growing up, I was always creating a bunch of different stuff. And that's how I look at it today is like I just like creating a bunch of different stuff.
Right.
So like growing up, I was always like making board games. I'd make my own magazine for the neighborhood kids. We'd play wiffle ball and keep stats. And I'd made my own like Sports Illustrated magazine.
No
and,
way.
Like we made like monster movies and we would make like these, I don't know, arts and crafts stuff all the time. I was always just making stuff. And so I think that just kind of carried over into like I would draw my own shoe line and like I drew my own golf course. I would paint, like, so I was just always making stuff. And I think
creative person.
Yeah, I think that just carried over and like I just like creating and making stuff. So when I became an adult, I would just like, all right, what could I build and create? Cool, done, did that.
Mm-hmm.
Now what else could I do? And so I think that's just kind of how I looked at it. But it started off with the film stuff.
And how old were you when you started the film stuff?
Well, I was always making videos and movies with my little brother and neighborhood kids and whatnot.
Exactly how it was with me.
Right.
The same
So you're
exact
just,
thing.
I think it just, that's where it kind of starts and you carry over. And then, but like it was in high school, college where I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'll make videos. And then when I made a successful career for myself out of like making, music videos and, running a production company, then it was like, okay, now I can do all this other stuff that I have ideas for and I want to do. And that's where now it's broken off into a bunch of different things.
Isn't it funny when you become very successful at one thing, you realize, wow, I can actually take this formula and do
Apply
it
it,
anywhere.
yeah,
Because
apply
when
it to
you're on
anything.
your journey to success for like the first time in anything, it's like, man, like, you know, everyone says that if you work hard enough, you can be successful
Right.
and so on and so forth, but you never really know until you get there. And once you
Right.
get there, you develop that confidence where you're like, wow, it is actually true.
Confidence and just, I think, a little bit of knowledge and understanding of what it takes to like make something successful. And, you know, and so then you apply, you know, that kind of same knowledge and intuition into the other stuff that you're doing. You know, I'm sure just like you're doing a million different things, but I bet the same thing for you early on. It was like you went full blast at that one thing, and then it was like, oh, and now I can do this and this.
Exactly.
But you don't, early on, you're not spreading yourself across 10 different things. You're focusing on that one thing, and once you've made it in that one thing, now you can kind of just, you know, go from there and branch off from there. So
do you, okay, this is kind of interesting because I feel sometimes that I miss like when I was just doing that one thing as opposed to having a million different things going at once. Which do you prefer?
I feel that too. I was just thinking that literally we were in downtown Phoenix today, picking up my marriage license, actually. So
Congratulations.
getting married soon. But we were picking that up, and so much of what I did early on was in and around downtown Phoenix, like filming so many videos and photo shoots and whatever. And there was this moment of like, man, like I miss just that
focusing on one
that
thing.
one
It's
thing, that videos and grinding and making something of myself. And no, that those feelings come back all the
Right.
time. I totally get that.
Yeah,
So,
it's nice to have so many things because you feel like more secure.
Right.
You know, like, okay, I
Right.
have this one thing. If it fails, you know, I have
Right.
9 other things going, especially like
Right.
getting married and having a family. That's really important.
right.
But also when you have just one thing, you know, the quality of just that one thing could be so much better.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, and going back to that security thing, like I think that it's like a huge motivation for me too. Just like, you know, I've seen at the highest level people who are great at that one thing, and that one thing stops, and it's like then you have kind of nothing, and you got to figure out, okay, what do I do now? And so always like I just in general like to create, and I find fulfillment in doing all those different things. But also there's that other backup part. It's like, okay, if I build all these multiple things and that one thing stops, because eventually it probably will.
Eventually,
you know what I mean?
You know, all great things have to come to an
at
end.
some point. So then to have those other things that are also now successful, like you're still good. And so especially if you're moving forward and you're getting older and you want to start a family, or you're just thinking about, you know, your future in retirement or just whatever, it's definitely something that I think you have to think about. Or,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? And not completely neglect and be ignorant to think like, oh yeah, this one thing I'm going to do is going to pop forever. And that's it.
Right.
Like, cause it's just not going to happen.
And it's nice too, even though it is more stressful and it is harder.
Right.
I also I love a challenge, and I
Right.
feel like you're the same way. So
Right.
while it's more stressful, in the long run, it feels better if you can get all these things to be successful. And they're not all going to be successful.
Right.
A lot of what we do as entrepreneurs is we fail.
Right.
But that is another step closer to getting you towards success in every
Right.
way. So I
I agree.
respect it, man. So tell me a little bit more about the coffee thing, because that's something I just saw the other day.
Yeah, so I just kind of like soft announced it in a way. I love coffee.
I do too. I'm a big coffee guy.
as most people do. And so it's funny though. I didn't even have my first cup of coffee until I was 25.
No way.
Because I never drank it. My family didn't really drink it. And it was just never something that was like a part of our family's lives. And so I just never drank it. In college, I don't know if I ever even had a cup. It wasn't a thing. And when I was living with my friend David Morris, who's an artist in LA,
We're filming with him this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way. What are you guys filming?
We're filming. So as you know, he's been doing, you know, the country rapping type
right.
stuff.
So
we're
you're doing
gonna
some
do
of that?
like a country rapper,
Right.
like in the hood, and one on Venice. It's
Nice.
gonna
Love it.
pop, I think.
Yeah.
He's,
so
he's awesome.
He's awesome. He's one of my good friends, and one of the first people I met early on that like I built with when I was trying to make music videos and grow a following.
Did he
and
go to
everything.
ASU?
And no. No,
Okay.
he
How
went
did
to
you
West
meet him?
Virginia. I just met through because I had done videos for Futuristic, SK, Samson, and I kind of built up those little reels or work that I had put together in a reel, and someone was like, yo, this is one of my favorite artists, you should do a video for him. And I literally just Facebook like messaged him my reel and was just like, he was doing videos with this guy Rex Arrow, and I was like,
Rex Arrow did Mac Miller stuff.
He did all Mac Miller stuff, and I sent him a message on Facebook, and I was just like, yo, I can make you better videos for cheaper. And like, he was just like, he saw my reel and he's like, dude, this. Oh, and Kyle was the other one who was on there. Super duper Kyle. And so he saw that, he flew to Arizona, we shot a video, and then we just instantly became friends. And he was just like, yo, you're dope. Like, and so I shot all his videos from there on out. We just became really good friends. He's one of the groomsmen in my wedding.
That's awesome.
And we just ended up becoming really good friends, and I ended up living with him for like 2 years in LA. But anyways,
it's crazy how that stuff works out.
Yeah. So I don't know why.
Oh, the coffee beans, right?
Yes. Off that tangent. So he drinks coffee like crazy, and like every morning he'd make this huge pitcher, and he would just all like,
French press?
No, he would just generic Folgers, but he always, because he drinks so much, he'd just do a huge thing, and he'd always be like, "You want some?" I'd be like, "No, I'm cool." And then you want some every morning, and then finally, I was just like, "All right, fine, yeah, I'll have one," and I drank
just if you shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and it just became a habit after that every morning, because it was just
what do you think of that first cup? Where you're like, "Wow, this shit is."
No, I remember just being like, "No," I just remember being like, "Oh man, like okay," like because it's not like the taste was just like anytime
it's more
you
of
first
the
have
feeling, and then once you have the feeling, you enjoy the taste because you're like, "Oh, it's that good shit."
But anything that like I feel like I branch out wise is somewhat tied to like filmmaking in a way, business related wise, and coffee is just part of my creative process. If I go to edit a video, if I go to like all filmmakers and creators, when you're on set, it's just coffee everywhere on film sets. Like it's a part of that industry. And so I drink it. It's a part of just the industry. And I was like, it'd be cool to kind of have my own coffee brand for, more geared towards like creatives. That's but sick. Also I wanted to do something in a way to like give back to like youth arts programs. And so I was like, oh, this would be like the perfect company or brand to like do like a 10% of all profits go to like local Phoenix, Tempe youth art programs. And so that was just kind of like the vision behind it. And I've been, for like a year just kind of planning stuff with it.
Where I saw you actually have the physical like beans.
Yeah.
And how do you go about doing that?
Just found a roaster locally.
Just some roaster.
Found a roaster.
Walking down the street, found this roaster.
Craigslist, like your moose. No, I just found a local roaster, that this company that will roast beans, and just kind of met with them.
Where do they get the beans from?
Just all over the world. Like they just
like Venezuela,
Guatemala, Thailand, Costa Rica, everywhere. And so like I gotta like sit with them and tell them which ones that like go through what I liked, and do you want more of like a fruity roast,
or do you want like crazy caffeine levels?
Yeah, and
that's
so like
awesome.
the different ways they can either wash the beans, or they can like let them kind of like, it's like air ferment, and those have different caffeine levels. The wash, it actually washes out more of the caffeine versus the air dry, and like stuff like that. And so just it was cool to like sit down and tell them what I wanted. And so working on coming out with two different types, one that's more geared towards like people who like iced cold brew kind of coffee, and people that like the hot stuff. So
do you have a name for it yet?
The brand as a whole is just going to be Buff Beans.
Okay.
Nice. Fuel for creative gains.
For those of you who don't know, Jakobs, your filming business is Buff Nerds.
Buff Nerds Media. So yeah, just kind of, again, going off of that.
Okay.
Buff Beans.
Buff Beans. It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah. And then the whole like slogan is just like fueling creative gains.
Dude, that could actually be like a gym pre-workout type coffee, like Buff Beans.
Buff Beans,
like you put that in
so you
gym
can gear it towards that.
Yeah.
You can gear it towards the creatives, and everything. So that's kind of a little thing we're working on the side. It's not like my main focus or anything, but it's just one of those things. It's just like another little thing that.
So what would you say your main focus is?
That's a good question right now. It's just my main focus right now is honestly pretty just like evenly spread out amongst everything right now. Probably
diversifying your income.
Yeah, pretty much that. Because like,
and like, what would you say? Like, I don't know, if you had to narrow it down to your like top 3 to 5 revenue streams.
Prism Lens Effects.
Prism Lens. So that's the lens company you just started, right? How the hell do you start a lens company?
So random. Like we were just one day, me and Tom, we're DPs directors, we always used to hold like different glass objects in front of our lens and stuff, and then it was just like there's no way to mount this stuff. You have to like hold it with your hand. You can't fix it to your lens.
So what effect does that do? Putting a glass object,
just like
just different
cool
colors,
cool light refractions and like bending of like ghosting of the subject in the frame, duplications, like if I move a split diopter in front of the lens, there might be like two of you that kind of like blur. And then so we used to always do that on like a lot of our music videos for like the Bone Thugs and Tank and what's the artist that Zach really likes, John Bellion, and just like videos like that, and even some of the Kyle stuff. But one day we're just like, there's no way to like mount this stuff. Like if you wanted to take a prism for photography or video, like there's no way to mount it, and you have to hold the glass. There's no mountable. And so we're just figuring out like, okay, how could you drill the glass without breaking it and install a mount and like mount it? And it just kind of started with a generic prism. And that's where we started when we launched 2 years ago with just a mountable triangle prism with an arm and a handle, so you could like not touch the glass and smudge it or whatever. You just hold it away. And then same thing with like a glass orb. It started with that. We launched, and then it was always like the bigger picture was like to get into like filters that screw onto the front of your lenses and stuff. Wow. So and you just kind of slowly over time, we had a 300 square foot like shared workspace warehouse in LA where we were just hand drilling these prisms and like doing all it and stuff. And then we figured out we found a company that could like mass produce them for us. So we sent them like all the Tom did a lot of the communication with like the more like he's very like film MacGyver. And so he would just like he drew up the drawings and the dimensions and all the specs and sent it to them, and then they started like mass producing it for us. But yeah, everything was just we built filters by hand, by like cracking glass and finding the special glass to glue it in, putting it in a UV oven that we had built that like hardened the glass so it wouldn't. It was crazy. It's weird to even think about. That was only like 2 years ago, but that's how we started, was just like hand making and like with this glass and this handmade UV oven and then shipping it all out of there. It was just me, Tom, and Chanel, my fiance. It was just three of us for like a year, and then all of a sudden like stuff just started taking off, and like we got a double the size square footage, same workspace in that same building, just like 700 square feet instead of 300, and within 4 months of being there, it just like took off, and we're like, all right, we got to figure something out. Like, and so we just closed that down and moved here, and now we have like a couple thousand square foot warehouse. You get a lot
more for your buck here.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh yeah. we have double, triple, 2.5 times the square footage, bathrooms, kitchen, office, AC, light, like
for
our own building.
1/3 the price.
For a third of the price, like, or something crazy like that. So it's plus now we have like a lot of our family. We've hired like different parts of the family to go in and work, and Chanel's mom's like our email correspondence. Her sister heads up the shipping area, and then brother-in-law he does a lot of the building and the gluing and everything. So yeah, it's a
full operation.
Cool. Yeah,
just from sticking glass in a fucking oven. Yeah, that's what people don't realize. You got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere, and if you have a dream and a goal and believe in it, you can turn it into anything.
So that's probably been the main priority for the last, I would say, for the last year.
And where do most of your sales come from? Is it through like
just online,
your Buff Nerds brand, or is it like you doing like social media marketing?
Yeah, mainly social media. Like the three main streams, if I were to probably look it up on like the analytics, are Instagram, Facebook, and just Google.
And is that through the Buff Nerds, or is that through just running advertisements?
It's a little bit of both. Obviously, like my channels have a pretty solid following from my personal brand to the Buff Nerds, and obviously through those we're always like pushing and tagging Prism Lens Effects as our company, which is like, yo, our company, new filter we just put out, like, and then so Instagram's like huge for us, but also like we do a good amount of Facebook advertising just to get out to the people that have no idea who we are or whatever. So
a quick word from our sponsor, Prism Lens Effects. Make sure to check them out. Where's your website?
Just prismlenseffects.com.
So prismlenseffects.com, and also guys, the new Man Cave Carhartt hoodies just came out. Little Man Cave Carhartt collab. We only got like 100 of them, so just go to thedailydropout.com or dropoutgang.com and get your Man Cave hoodie. So that's the main revenue stream. What would you say?
That was a perfect opportunity for me to also drink the rest of that, so that was good timing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Where we at with number 2? What else you got going on?
So Tropicolor, we've been doing that for 3 or 4 years. That's just
your
like
production studio.
no, that's more like the post editing effects and assets for like video editors and stuff.
Tropicolor.
Tropicolor. So we just make like different effects and overlays and color presets and like animation effects and stuff.
I didn't even know about this.
Yeah. So we just do that. That's like for the post production side of stuff.
Is that
so
for
you have
like
Prism,
Final Cut and Adobe or both?
Yeah, for both. So it's like you have the Prism stuff. So it's like, hey, shoot your videos with our filters. Oh, then edit that video with our effects.
Okay.
So that's kind of the.
How do you go about making that? Just like graphic, like generated effects.
Graphic generated stuff. A lot of the stuff is like scanned in film. Like, so we'll shoot film, then get it processed and scanned, and then turn that into a digital asset that people can overlay on their footage. And so that it's a mixture of both digitally created stuff out of a computer, but also like hard, tangible, like film burns and grain and different things that we shoot that you can, overlay or add to your video.
That's
so
super interesting.
Yeah, I kind of myriad of both.
How long have you been doing that for?
That one's been like three years, 2017, end of 2016.
Starting that, do you think that's kind of what got you to kind of spin off and start the lens company? You're like, if I'm already doing effects in one way, I can do effects in
pretty much.
way?
I mean, well, kind of not really. I mean, it was just, I think the Prism thing just spawned from like one day, like just like we were using a piece of glass or prism or something. It's like, yo, there's got to be a way to mount this. And we tried to find something and there wasn't anything. And so I was like, aha.
I think that's
where anything comes from. Like a good idea is like a problem that you have and there's no solution. You're like, okay, I'm going to make this. Like if I'm having this problem, other people have to be having this problem. And that's where I think a lot of like good ideas come from is, if you think there's something that doesn't exist or there is something that doesn't exist and you need it, and then other people will probably need it too. So yeah, those two things. Tropicolor hasn't been as much of a priority just because like Prism Lens Effect, doing that whole like, building that kind of company up and then the huge move and getting the people in place. That's a lot of work. It's been a lot of work. So, but it's fun too. I just like building stuff.
Just like doing shit.
You get such gratification in like things, seeing something go from nothing to
creating.
Yeah. So it's just like creating a video from start to finish. Like seeing that thing in its final product is just like so rewarding, and it's like kind of the same thing, just a much longer and harder process than making a video.
Definitely.
But yeah, so that's
awesome, man. And then you got the film studio stuff.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that?
Yeah, that one's kind of been crazy because that's all been within like a year and a half. And so, I mean, like I said, I was living with Dee and a couple other friends in LA, and we had a house, but me and Chanel were starting to get a lot more serious. She's coming in town all the time, and like we're in this tiny room in a house with like 5 guys, and it was like I had enough money to buy a house anyway, so it was just like, all right. It kind of looked at it as like I wanted to open up a film space, but also like this is a perfect opportunity for us to get our own space that then we can like rent out for people to shoot in or whatever.
So you were living in it, and then you had a bunch of rooms where people could film as well?
Yeah, so technically I bought the house in LA, but with the mindset of like we're gonna decorate this to be like a place people want to come shoot in.
That's smart, because you're filming stuff all the time. You're probably renting your own studio.
I use my stuff all the time.
I can pay the mortgage just off saving the money from
this
all
video.
These shoots.
Yeah. So we bought the house, turned it into like a 70s kind of show where it's just like vintage, and just because like vintage stuff is pretty hot right now, and I just know a lot of being in the industry, I know that's like a look that everyone's going for. But doing it, I was just like, dude, what if nobody wants to shoot here? Yeah, your house is
just decorated like this.
I'm spending all this money, time, and energy to buy this place, build it out to be this throwback 70s spot, and no one shoots here.
Yeah, right.
That was like
they're just gonna have to turn it into like a disco pad or something.
But no,
that's part of it, man. That's part of the process. Taking
those risks, and so that popped off and started doing so well. And me and Chanel were headed to like a flea market, and as a joke, she was just kind of like, it's called Honeymoon Hideout. She's like, Honeymoon's been doing so well, we should get another one. And I was like, yeah, we should. And in the car on the way to the flea market, I just was like on Zillow, and I knew I always wanted like a desert film ranch location. So I just went out to the desert, and I just started like pinching and zooming around and changing parameters. And within that drive, I found the spot that I was like, Chanel, this is it. And she's like, I was joking. Like, I'm not
Dude,
serious.
that sounds like me and my wife.
Yeah,
Seriously,
she's
like, don't joke about that stuff. I'll do it.
Yeah. And so I literally called and I was like, hey, can I like set up a time to come see this place? Like, super interested in it. And so I went and saw it. It was the weekend. It was like Saturday. So I went and saw it Monday, and then I put in an offer Tuesday, and I had it within the week. Like, it went so fast.
And you're like, Chanel, no more jokes.
Yeah. But same thing with that. Like, it was an hour and a half outside of LA. I was like, what if no one wants to shoot here? I had big plans and visions for it. I already knew, though, the thing I kind of always go back to is, if I would want to shoot here, I know other people would want to shoot here. And so that was kind of my main thing going through, like, okay, no, I know I would want to shoot stuff here, so I would use this, so I know other people want to use it. And so the Eclectic West was born, and that's been another spot. And then after that, my buddy Tom, who's my business partner in like Prism and Tropic and all this stuff, was just like, yo, I want to open a spot with you. And so then we did the Barracks Warehouse. Then we just got this other studio, and now I'm working on one with Zach in Arizona Mills.
So
and
you're working on
that's
5 film studios.
Yeah. Chanel does all the because I wouldn't be able to handle all that. She does all the like bookings, Peer Space and stuff. But yeah, right now I think we have 4 going on what will be 5. Yeah, but that's all been within the last year and a half.
Holy shit!
Yeah, because I bought Honeymoon last January, February, like last March. So yeah, it's been about like a year and a half or so.
Jakob Owens killing it in the film and media space, dude. Congratulations on it. That's huge.
Thank you, dude.
You've been on the space for so long now. Like, what are some of your favorite people and like some of the coolest artists that you've worked with? Because I know you've worked with just about everybody.
Cool. Shoot, that's tough. I mean,
like coolest and like the biggest.
Biggest. I mean, I've shot and done stuff with like, I guess like Chris Brown and Tyga and who else? And then it's tough too. Technically, like, because of the people that shoot at my properties, like, I built that place, decorated it. So technically I would be like an art department on that music video. You could consider that me working with that artist or that team. And there's been like Khalid and a bunch of other big, people like that have shot at all these locations, from Lil Durk, just there's so many different names. So, but I haven't worked like directly with those people. They've just come and shot at the spaces I've created. So there's that. But as far as like my favorite people, probably Kyle and Futuristic, just because like they're such good homies and it's just so easy and fun to work with them. A lot of times in the industry, you get people that are so like
just absorbed,
egotistical, and there's like, you don't even necessarily work with them directly. You're like, you have to talk through all these people.
There's a bunch of walls up.
Yeah, and so like, I just remember, I mean, I don't want to speak too ill on anyone, but like, for the Kyle and Tyga video we did, he was featured on it, and we had to wait like 4 or 5 hours for Tyga, and then I had to like talk to his manager, who his manager would talk to him and relay information back to me.
Oh my God, it's like talking to the president.
It's like the that telephone game where you like through all the chain and then it comes back around.
It takes so much time to do that.
So a lot of like the bigger like stars and artists can be like that, and so sometimes it can suck the fun out a little bit just because you're so like a lot of.
Just a big waiting game.
Yeah, but like Kyle, we've been friends since the beginning, so like collaborating with him is always just like so much fun, and he's just such a nice, genuine guy. And same thing.
You keep in touch with him a lot.
Yeah,
recently.
Yeah.
I saw you just shot something with him, right?
Yeah, I shot like 3 or 4 videos off of his new album.
The new album that came out like 2 months ago. I believe?
There was What It Is, The Money Now, Bouncing. Yeah,
and he really took off. That's awesome that you've been working with him from the beginning.
Yeah, from the beginning. And what actually, I mean, he got signed early on after like a bunch of the videos we had done. They saw a lot of those videos.
Who signed him?
Signed Indie Pop.
Okay.
And now I think he's with Atlantic. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's cool to see just someone from his side in the industry make it, and then you have Futuristic also who's made it, but is in the complete opposite lane and just independent, and like, so it's cool to see people that you've come up with just rise with you. You know what I mean? So, yeah,
that's awesome, man.
So yeah. Going back though, grinding hard with him, and shoot how he popped off on the independent spaces, that the nerd rap stuff.
The nerd raps that we did. Yeah, that's so true.
And what's funny though is like that video you guys did, the nerd raps in Compton, the video that he actually is rapping in that, he had this whole other idea for the video, and it completely fell apart. And then that day of, I was like, why don't we just shoot it like it's the video you and Dawes did, where you're just going around rapping to people, and then it's like it completely like it's like the same kind of thing,
the skit
just a
version
little
of the prank.
Right. It's just like more the music video skit version of like what the actual prank was, and it was just like, okay, we did it, and that one's the one that did the craziest numbers that we had ever done or did, and
like
so,
30 million or something.
Yeah, and so, but that was, I mean, that's when, and I remember he was so like, I think we were both kind of disappointed, like, oh, it's not. I think you get stuck sometimes when something doesn't happen the way you thought or envisioned or wanted, and then it's like, oh, it's so. But sometimes everything can be, or things can be a blessing in disguise. And I think ultimately us doing it that way, like the prank video is what made it what it was. Because I think
agree.
if we would have done it the other way that he wanted to do that had no kind of relation to the skit or the prank, my bad. I don't think it.
Yeah, don't call it a skit,
video,
bro.
My bad. It was all set up. No, it wasn't.
That's
So,
awesome, man.
I was there.
No, it's crazy because that was like what 5 or 6 years ago, and time has just flown by, and we're all still doing like similar stuff, but different stuff and more business stuff. So it's really cool to see all of that. Someone that's been you, for instance, been so successful in the space. You went to college for film at ASU, right?
Right.
Do you recommend?
I didn't drop out.
You didn't drop out.
No.
Okay. Then get the fuck out of here. For someone that's coming up as a young filmmaker, do you think that they should be going to college, or do you think it's something that they should be trying to learn on their own?
That's tough because I've seen success in both ways. But I'll say this. There was a point where I was like shooting so much stuff during like, and I had class and stuff, and I'd be missing class. And I told my mom, I was like, I don't even need to finish school. Like, I'm doing what I already came to school to do. And I was already so close to finishing. She was just like, just finish it out. And I was like, okay.
You got your bachelor's, right?
I was already in my senior year, and I was like, I'm not going to drop out now. So I just finished it. But there's a lot of I will say 9 out of 10 kids from my grade and class of like that whole little section aren't doing anything like relating to film right now.
That's
and
usually how it works.
So it's like, just because you go to school does not mean you're going to be successful in film if you go to a film school. Like, and I know plenty of people who didn't go to film school who work in the industry on the regular and are successful, or at least work in the industry that may not be to like where they want to be. But so I don't think you need school at all to do anything related to film. Sure, go if you want to like really hone in your skills and potentially meet and connect people. But I think it's also going to the right places. If you go to some random film school in the middle of
Wisconsin,
Wisconsin, like that, you're not going to meet the chance. I'm not going to say you're not going to. The chances of you meeting someone who are really going to connect you in that world and and have a crazy successful career because you meet this right person or this person, pretty slim. Like if you are gonna really want to go to film school, find some school like in California where you could potentially like get connected with real people that bring you on to work and jobs. Because that's how Tom ended up on, like, when I first moved to LA, I was doing all these music videos, and Tom was going to film school, and he ended up on a film set that I was directing, and he DP'd it. And he was just like, yo, like, you're directing music videos all the time, right? And he's like, do you have like a DP? And I was like, no, I just kind of do everything myself. He's like, hit me up whenever and I'll do it. And next thing you know, like, he was my DP.
That's awesome.
And so he, kind of found success in just meeting me and being in that film area and space and going to school there and meeting other film people. But had he been doing that in the middle of Wisconsin or Iowa in some, small college, going to film class or school, like,
right.
You can learn all that stuff now.
You can learn
online.
Everything online.
You can learn all that online. So the biggest takeaway you could get from school is like probably the connections and being in the right area of where that it'll like, get you those connections.
Right. I mean, I've had like probably 15 different employees for film and video edits, filming, production. And I've seen no correlation to filming quality and a degree at all.
Right.
It's solely based off of hard work and passion. The people that want to work the hardest and the people that are most passionate, have a true love for film, are going to be that you can learn anything online.
Yeah,
that's where
I learned. Where I learned my two most things is just learning on YouTube and then learning from just doing it. just
And
going
it's
out
free.
and And
It's
so, as opposed to spending, I mean, it depends where you go to school, but as opposed to spending $40, $50, $100,000 on school and owing that back, like
you can invest that in equipment. You can invest that in yourself. You can, invest that in just like saying, okay, I'm going to start my own business. And instead of paying, $50,000 to go to school, I'm going to use this money for a living for the first 2 years of trying to start and grow my business.
Right.
Because
I'm a big proponent on that. Like if people tell me, do I need to go to school? I'll say like, no, you don't have
need
to.
I mean, if you want to, go for it.
Right. Yeah. So you can learn everything online and just by going out and doing it and meeting the right people. I mean, cause there's people that, in my opinion, like will have way less skill than someone else, but are doing so much bigger things because they know the right person. And so a lot of times it's just being active and being pursuing it and knowing the right people and getting connected and having some skill. I mean, you can't be like not know how to work a camera, but
exactly,
but that'll take you far, as opposed to someone who literally, I mean, you could know everything in the world, but if you sit in your house all day, it doesn't matter what you know, like you're not going to get work, you know what I mean? Like you got to go.
That goes for anything too.
Anything. Yeah. That for sure relates to anything, not just film. So,
okay. So for people outside of film, just doing absolutely anything as an entrepreneur, what's your biggest advice to them? Or if you could talk to your younger self, what would you say?
The biggest advice to anyone, say that one more time.
That's just an entrepreneur, whether they're trying to start a business or, be a rapper or a YouTuber or doing anything as far as creatives or entrepreneurship.
I think it just goes back to going out there and just doing it, but just meeting so many people. Like I feel like if there was one thing I could have even done better early on was just being much more of like a connective networking person, like because I just know I've seen the jobs and opportunities people have got from just knowing so many people and being friends with so many people that other people don't have just because they don't have that. And like I think just by meeting the right, like even like putting it into perspective, even with the people renovating our yard right now, so we are redoing our yard. We posted it to Facebook like turf going in today, and how many comments came across? Who did your turf? Who did your turf? Who did your turf? So by this guy just going out, and he knew Zach, and Zach referred him to me, so I got him the job to do our yard. And then all of a sudden, all these people want to know who's doing our yard, and we posted about it, and now he's got all. But if he would have never met Zach, he done a good job that led him to me, and then he does the job for me that leads to like it just
takes one person.
All it takes
one
is,
person.
Yeah, it's just connectivity, man. It's like a spider web, and so I think the biggest thing is like just doing the work and just being as active in the world as you can, meeting as many people, talking yourself up. Like that's what Chanel's dad is amazing at. He's such a just like, I'll talk to you, whatever. Grocery store, meet this person. I've been with him places where he just strikes up a conversation with someone out of nowhere, and next thing you know, he's talking about his barbecue and stuff, and this person he's talking to owns a business and is like, we'll have to do a catering with you, and what's your content? And then sure enough, they do a catering for that company, and just from that random little thing. And so I think that's so important, but I think it's a tough skill to have too, to be so just out there and personable.
It's very tough.
It takes work, and a lot of people, I think, even more so nowadays, are just with like social media and everything, are much more like, I guess, reserved, and it's harder to communicate with people because you're just always on the phone. So
do you believe in people having a plan B?
For me, I didn't. You know what I mean? So I don't think so, because I think if you have a plan B, you don't go full force into that one thing.
I agree 100%.
You know what I mean? Like if I would have always been like, okay, if it isn't film, I'll have that. Like it was just always, for me, there was no question, like I was going to make it in film. Like I just put everything into it and it worked out. But I think if you mentally tell yourself like, I have this other thing, or, you kind of, it's easy to fall back onto something or not put your all into that one thing. So
no option to fall back.
Yeah. Especially, I would have to say no plan B.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're getting married here in a couple of weeks. Yeah. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, sir.
How you feel? You ready?
I am very ready. I'm trying to have little Jakob Owens is running around.
There you go. You got to have, the futures of all these companies. I mean, you got to have like 10 kids to run each one.
I want a boy first though.
Yes.
Boy first.
Absolutely.
Then Chanel doesn't want a girl because she said she wants to be the only princess. So.
Wow. Okay.
So, but no, I want a boy because Chanel's sister's boys. Like I love all of them. They're like my little.
Dude, they're so much
homies.
fun.
Yeah.
Like, so Miles is 15 months old, just barely over a year. And I was like, I'll be able to have fun with him when he's like 3 or 4 or 5. Dude, as soon as he's like 6 months, he's like freaking awesome. You can like, the kids can do so much more than you realize. Like,
no,
he's 1 year old and I play basketball with him every morning. Well, I guess the little
crazy.
Tykes hoop.
Yeah,
but
he's still playing.
He's like slam dunking and trying to dribble and shit.
We were just playing Super Smash Bros. At her brother-in-law's house, and all 3 of them were playing. And Remy's like 2.5, and he beat all of us. And like I was 1-on-1 with him at the end,
Dude.
and he just hit me with this little move and sent me off. And I was like, "What the hell?"
Kids
It was
these
2.5.
Are crazy.
I was
like,
blown
dude,
away.
Miles will take the remote and he'll put on Netflix and put on his shows. He's like 1 year old.
It's crazy.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Times, man. But no, wild.
So how long have you and Chanel been dating for? She's amazing, by the way. Me and Kelly love her.
Yeah.
She's just a great girl, just a class act.
She'll be happy to hear that. 5 years, 2015 is when we started dating. She slid into my Instagram.
Okay.
No. I just noticed she was liking things, and I was like, okay. I was like, so I messaged her. So she likes to tell people I slid into her DMs, but the only reason I did is because I noticed the activity on my page. I was like, I noticed you liked.
She left you no choice.
Yes. So that's how. But we grew up knowing each other. She went to the same school I went to. She was in my brother's grade. She was a grade below me, and so we kind of were in similar circles in a way. I mean, we never had spoken to each other, hung out or anything, but we knew of each other and each other's families. So it wasn't like some random.
That makes it easier for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't some random thing.
So I got 2 more questions for you. Number 1, where do you see yourself in 10 years from now? How old are you right now?
30.
30. Where do you see yourself at 40?
At 40, definitely want to have a movie hit the big screen. Like, if I can have a movie hit the big screen.
Have you done movies?
No. I've done like short films and stuff. I've shot like TV shows and like mini docs and like ESPN 30 for 30 and stuff.
Oh, that's
which
sick.
is technically.
Which one did you do?
I did the Chuck and Tito, which is like the UFC.
Okay.
Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz. That
I'll have to check
because they had
that
a
out.
huge rivalry, and so I was the second unit DP for all of like Tito's stuff. So it was the training camp interviews and all the stuff following him, and then the fight night, and because they had their 3rd fight, because they had a pretty rivaled history in the UFC. But anyways, so I've like done stuff and that technically is like an indie doc feature, but not anything that's like Hollywood, big screen, whatever. But yeah, I think it's on ESPN 30. Or
you can get
ESPN
those on
Plus, ESPN
Amazon
Plus.
too. You can buy them on Amazon.
So that's on there. So ESPN 30 for 30, Chuck and Tito is on there. And so I've done stuff like that, but nothing to but that would be the goal. If I can do that and then have my other various companies full steam ahead running
do you see yourself retiring ever, or are you just going to work till you die?
Dude, dude. That's a good, I have the same question for you.
That's where I'm at.
Because I love, like, literally, Chanel always makes fun of me. I pop up out of the bed in the morning so quick. Like, as soon as I wake up, I'm like, boom, I'm up. And I just am excited to.
You're going to work until you're dead.
Yeah, I'm just going to
work.
That's
how I am.
Yeah.
Dude,
so
I've already retired like 3 times.
Yeah.
After like the first day, I'm going fucking crazy.
No, it's tough because like someone, I feel like, you're like a lot like me, like where you're just always creating and stuff. It's so impossible to want to just, or you want to sit still and be able to just enjoy things or whatever, but you just can't,
It's impossible.
dude. It's so, you're like, your mind just has all these ideas and things you want to do, and it'll eat you up if you don't do those things. So that's how I am. So I feel like that'll be me just working until I'm like, I'll be Clint Eastwood. I don't know if you know. He's like 90 still directing movies and
he's a beast,
doing
dude.
stuff. So
I just watched his movie the other night. Was it Gran Turismo? Or
Gran Torino.
Gran
That's a good
Torino?
one. Yeah.
Turismo. Fucking, I'm gonna get roasted for that one. It was between those two. I'm like,
Gran Turismo. That's
that's
like
a
a video
race.
game.
That's
No,
like a race in Europe or some shit. That is a video
that's
game.
the video game, the
Yeah.
car video game. I used to
Yeah.
play that when I was little. Gran Turismo.
Okay, at least it's not some just random word.
It was close. I mean, you got Gran, right? So and the Tari.
Thank you.
So somewhat there.
My last question.
All right.
All the jerseys in here, you see them all on the walls.
Which one am I taking?
You get to keep one. If you got to, I'm not
Okay.
actually giving you anything. Okay.
No.
You get
I
to
know
keep one personally,
Okay.
and you get to keep one solely for investment. If you sell it in 50 years, what two are you taking?
I'm taking the Jordan personally.
Okay.
I
Same.
love
That's
Jordan.
my beloved piece right there.
Investment wise. Probably James, but that one's. You said earlier that one wasn't as rare because of.
No.
So,
Well, I mean,
investment. Yeah, it's gotta be James.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best answer I've got on the show
Yeah.
so far.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you not? How
People
have, you
have
not gotten that
taken
before?
like for investment. People have taken like. I mean, it's the two obvious ones, right?
Yeah.
Like personal,
Jordan.
easy.
Yeah.
Investment, either Jordan or James.
Right.
Only reason why I would take maybe James over Jordan for investment is because the price is lower now than Jordan.
The other alternative to investment would have to be, I feel like, Kobe,
Exactly.
right? Just because
Yeah.
of what happened,
Yeah.
and obviously one of the goats. So, yeah, if you pick like, has anyone picked Spud Webb?
No, you're the first one to know who Spud Webb is.
Oh yeah, I mean I know who all these
I
people
love
are.
Spud
so,
Webb.
Yeah,
there's
Spud's
not one that you don't know.
I'm not a big Chiefs fan, so I don't know the
You know
Barry
Eric
one.
Berry.
I know the name, but it's not like
he
I
had
like.
bad
that.
cancer and had to leave the
Oh,
NFL
that's right.
and made
I
a
know that.
comeback.
Yeah, no. I mean, outside of that, Hopkins is with the Cardinals now.
Yep.
Yeah, I know all
Hell
this.
yeah, man.
So
Well, hey, thanks for coming on the show, man. It's been great
Yeah,
talking to you.
thanks.
Great hearing
Thanks
about
for having
everything
me.
going on. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Where can the people find you at?
I mean, I'm probably just most active on Instagram at Jakob Owens. Jacob is with a K. And yeah, you can just find me there. Say what's up.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the Man Cave channel. Check out the hoodies. Go ahead and cop one. Carhartt Man Cave collab. We got some new merch coming out. Thank you guys so much for watching. We are also now on Spotify, Apple Music, pretty much everywhere. You can take a listen, and I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
Dude, thanks for coming on. That was awesome.
Love it.